Good evening, and here we are on the new open mic show. Bill Macek and Bill Ellis here as co-hosts, and our first guest is already front and center, and you are front and center on like our cable TV, because that up there is our little microphone. This is Rufus Gifford, congressional candidate for what we call Niki Tsongas' seat, and Niki's retiring, and we have a number of people running for that office, but you have some incredible background. I'm going to just let you maybe set the table as to who you are, why you want to run. Just say a few things about yourself, and I think that would be a great start for the program.
Great, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here. So briefly about myself. Look, I never thought I'd be running for office. That's was not a goal of mine. It's not something I'd planned for years and years and years. And so the last job I had, I was the United States ambassador to Denmark, which is an incredibly cool. It was incredibly wonderful and meaningful experience. I had had the privilege of having worked for and served President Obama for all 10 years of his presidency. 8 years of his presidency and the 2 in the campaign before that. I had met him in January 2007 and worked for him for the first campaign and then the entirety of his presidency. And frankly, the Trump election is what pushed me over the edge and made me want to run for office. I, as someone who's been working to help elect candidates who shared my values, shared what I think are American values for the entirety of my adult life,
yep.
I saw those same values at risk with the Trump election. And so it was important for me to come home and throw my hat in the ring and really step up my level of service. I've been a guy who's been I've been behind the scenes for most of my life politically, and so but I think it's I saw this as an opportunity where I think people really need to step up at this moment in American political history. So that's
and
what I'm
Niki
doing.
Tsongas has been a very good congresswoman
Couldn't
for
agree
us,
more.
and I think that
Yeah.
she, you need to have somebody there that has some understanding and background. Denmark, I think I'd like to bring you back, maybe talk
Sure.
about Denmark, because that's
Yeah.
one of those, at least I think people think of it as a magic city, that, kind of a magic place, and would like to hear more about it. But I won't take up your time tonight with any of that.
Well, I'm happy to talk about that anytime. It's a remarkable place. Look, it's a country, it has us there considered to be the happiest people on earth. They have a social welfare contract, so they have a very, very sort of content existence. That a lot of folks they pay a relatively high tax rate. There's no doubt about that. But the services that they get in return is significant. And not only that, they've built some amazing businesses. So they're world leaders on everything from renewable energy to things like biotech and whatnot.
So that's one of the places that you, I'm sure, gained a lot of vision for how you would conduct yourself, learning from that experience.
Without it, absolutely. I think the one I say all the time that I actually think we need more diplomacy in politics, because the issues you work with as an ambassador. So not only did I work quite hard while I was ambassador to say bring renewable energy to the United States, and in particular Massachusetts. I hosted 2 delegations from Massachusetts when I was ambassador to actually take a very, very close look at renewable energy, not just as an opportunity to save the climate, which is incredibly important, but as an economic driver and a job creator as well, which is the way they see it in Denmark. I'm an advocate for universal health care. And of course, I was serving in a country for 4 years that has had universal health care for years and years. And it really does work quite well. Now, I don't advocate for just putting a Scandinavian-style social welfare system on top of the United States. Frank, it's just we're a much more complex and obviously much, much larger country. So it wouldn't work quite that same way. But I think there are components, there are elements of any culture that we should look at as Americans as adopting, co-opting.
What do you think this country should do that Denmark currently has?
Yeah, so renewable energy is probably the fastest and easiest way to answer the question. I put out a green jobs plan, which is the fun thing, the amazing thing about green jobs is that not only does it help save the climate, as I say, it brings back, if we're talking about rebuilding the middle class, which I think we're going to want to really do, everybody wants to do, I should say, we need to be talking about good middle class jobs. And what are good middle class jobs? good manufacturing jobs, and we think renewable green tech jobs, green jobs generally could bring legitimate advanced manufacturing jobs right here to the 3rd District of Massachusetts.
Yeah, I agree.
And lastly,
which form of green energy?
well, I actually think it's all of it. But there's we could talk about everything from wind, which is what I've been focusing quite a bit on. In fact, little known fact, well, maybe not little known, but not everybody knows, Massachusetts is in the process of building what is really going to be likely going to build the first commercial scale offshore wind farm in the country. Now, offshore just means built, obviously, in the water. Rhode Island has a small one right now, but we're in the process of really investing in this. Who's likely going to be building it is a Danish company because of the work that we did as ambassador. Americans don't know how to do this yet because we haven't built any of them. But we have the political will here in Massachusetts. So let's do it. Let's do it. And I say,
now, how many turbines would that?
I forget how many the Martha's Vineyard project is. The project just south of Martha's Vineyard.
Reclamation from Cape Wind?
No, it's a entirely different
totally
project from Cape Wind. Okay. Cape Wind is I think it's fair to say is not going anywhere. This is a brand new project that doesn't have Cape Wind had a lot of folks against it. It was sort of the NIMBY concept, which is not in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
It's always hard to be the first.
Was also getting higher and higher, and it was becoming unaffordable.
Well, I think that's fair. And the thing about offshore wind is that the cost has to continue to come down, and it is. The cost associated with offshore wind needs to be obviously competitive because it is expensive to build anything offshore and frankly transport the energy back onshore. So that has to be taken into consideration. But year after year, the cost of offshore wind goes down.
And I remember traveling to and from California a couple times and seeing miles and miles of just turbines just going and going.
Well, what's interesting about that too is a lot of people, I think your listeners and all of us, I think, want to see Democrats and Republicans work together more effectively.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. And I think that's a problem with the country right now. And I think that's how Donald Trump got in. He was hated by both sides, but America came through and they wanted to see somebody different. Right.
No, I actually really agree with you. And I think that, but when I talk about that, so as I said earlier, I think we need more diplomacy in politics. And I think that I could, it was my job for 4 years to sit down with, so Denmark has 9 political parties. 9, think about it.
Wow.
Much smaller country, 9 political parties. It was my job to get all 9 parties. All of them were very, very different. They had a far-right, anti-immigrant, xenophobic party. They had a far-left, almost former communist, anti-capitalist party. And it was my job to try to get everybody to come together for a constructive solution to help to support what I wanted to see as a Danish-led effort to help remove chemical weapons from Syria, right? Which was me moving the country forward. Mm-hmm. And it was my job to try to bring all those factions together. Now, I think we can do more of that in politics. I believe I could sit down across the table from the most conservative congressman from, say, Oklahoma, or even the most conservative constituent of this district, wherever he or she may be, and get us to agree on something. You know what one of the windiest states is in the country is Oklahoma. I bet I could convince that Republican congressman to invest in wind, in wind energy.
It's too bad you couldn't harness a tornado.
Well, not yet. Maybe so one of these days, But the truth is that he or she may not want to do it for the same reasons I might want to do it. Maybe it's not climate related. Maybe it's just an economic incentive. But frankly, we can come up with we just need to work harder. We need political leadership to come together in that sense.
Right now, we are either one side or the other. If you're not on that side, you hate the other side, and
That's
vice
right.
versa.
That's right.
And I just think about Reagan and Tip O'Neill.
I use that example all the time.
About that myself.
Yeah. I use that example. Tip and the Gipper. It was a thing, and it's I don't think any Democrat or any Republican accuses Tip O'Neill or Ronald Reagan as being a sellout.
No, because you're working for the benefit of the public.
That's right. We need more statesmen and women. Right. We just do.
They ask the question. You think you can do that?
I do. I look again. That's the role of diplomacy. I tell when I was confirmed United States ambassador to Denmark, you have to get confirmed by the Senate, right? Mm-hmm. The moment they called me and said, we want to nominate you. The Obama White House wants to nominate you to be an ambassador. They tell you are no longer, I was a Democratic operative, admittedly, but they said you are no longer a Democrat. You're an American first. And I had to work with senators like Bob Corker, a Republican, senators like Ron Johnson, a Republican, in order to get confirmed. They would have blocked me had they said that I was a sort of a partisan hack.
Right.
They wanted to believe that I was in this to serve the country first and foremost. And not a single senator voted against me. So not a single senator. It was called unanimous consent. So essentially that every senator voted in favor of my confirmation. So
that is. Do you think it would have been different though if you were going to Russia?
If I was, it probably would have been a different. It probably would have been a different line of questioning. Nor would I have said at the time, as a 38-year-old political operative, that I was probably qualified to be a U.S. ambassador to Russia.
The word operative, though, sounds secretive.
Oh no, it's definitely
KGB.
Yeah, no, I should definitely not use that word. Then there was nothing secret about what I did.
How about asset?
Yeah, I did.
But you know what I got to understand? This has been bugging me.
Yeah.
Do they have Danish in Denmark?
They do. They just call. You know what's funny? They call Danish wienerbrød, which means Vienna bread. So they call everything different. It's a.
See, you learned something new, Billy.
Yeah, I did. You didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either. I was curious.
I got to be honest though. Their what their Danishes are much much better than what we get. I think they're works of art. They're delicious. You can get them at every corner. They're awesome.
God bless them.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, what you mentioned about the American thing is so true. Because like after 9/11, I don't care what party you were with, you were an American.
Right. Remember all the cars had flags, and
definitely.
It was a great time.
And it's sad that it takes something like that. It's the same thing as you don't see people only at funerals that you normally, and it's not right. I mean, but I think we should think more as Americans than we do as political parties.
Yeah. And I love that. And you don't have to compromise your values. I mean, I don't think people respect politicians who are going to sell out their values when they get to Washington. It's not about that. It's about knowing that I don't care how conservative you are or how liberal you are, we can agree on something. We can find something to move the ball forward. And I think right now the problem is the parties are so reluctant to do that. And we got to find those solutions. We got to find those issues that we can move forward on, regardless of who's in the White House, because that's what the American people expect. And Congress has what, an 8% approval rating.
The president has a lot better rating than that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And actually, his rating at this point is higher than what Obama was in his first year in office.
I don't know about that.
Well,
that's true.
Yeah.
So,
there was a Rasmussen poll.
Yeah.
Well, but no, regardless, I mean, I think pretty much everything in the world polls higher than 8%. I was listening to some person running for Congress that said Congress polls 1 point ahead of chlamydia. So that's
great.
So we have very good company there.
Nice.
That's great.
Now, if you're successful and you go though, do you worry, or are you thinking about you're going to have to tell Nancy that you're not going to just be rigid against? You want to try to work things out between the parties.
I think we need to expect it, though, not just from one individual congressperson. I think we need to expect it from both parties. And this can't just be one party wanting to do this. I think in the last several decades now, the parties have dug in their heels in a way that's not constructive for solutions. I do consider myself, as you both know, I think, a progressive. But I consider myself a pragmatic progressive. And I would say to anyone who asks, just like say, Seth Moulton, I think does say things like this as well, even though he's been very outspoken on the leadership. Is that look, we don't have to compromise our values, but that we need to work together in order to find constructive solutions for society, and I just think that's a good thing.
And, it doesn't have to be 50-50. It can be 70-30, 60-40, but you got to try to work out the wrinkles.
Well, yeah, I do. I think that, and absolutely, and I also think that. I also think you used a really important word because it's try. And it's sometimes I think people don't even feel like their elected officials are trying.
Right. And,
we're not going to win all of it. We're not going to get everything done. I'm going to come out with a lot of ideas that I have, and I'll share my values and talk about the things that I want to do. I also probably realistically know that I will not be able to get everything done during my tenure as congressman. But I'm sure as heck going to try.
Good.
And I want my constituents to know that if voting for me, if electing me, they're going to have a fierce advocate in me, and that I'll continue to fight, and that I'll continue to come home and listen to the needs and concerns of the community, and go back to D.C. and do everything I can to fight for them. And that's what I want people to see more than anything.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We're coming up on that time. We'll be right back with more with congressional candidate Rufus Gifford right here on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 6:30.
For more in-depth coverage of the news, visit WHAV's website at WHAV.net.
How does one man get himself into so many impossible situations? This is a question you'll probably ask yourself when you follow another hilarious adventure of Throckmorton P. Gildersleeve. Yes, Gildy's eye for the ladies and his impulsive temperament managed to entangle him in a web of riotous circumstances. Join the romantic water commissioner, his neighbors, Judge Hooker, Mr. Peavy, and all the loyal Gildersleeve household as they romp through another episode of The Great Gildersleeve.
Every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. on WHAV.
Wave weather!
Here's the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, cloudy skies, low 26, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy with snow showers mixing with rain, high 46. The outlook for Tuesday night, a chance of isolated snow showers, then becoming partly cloudy, low 28. Snow accumulations on Tuesday of an inch or less. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Can I say that we're trying?
And we're back on the new open mic. I'm Bill Macek. Bill Ellis is here as a co-host, and also Rufus Gifford is here. Now, you're from Lowell. Are you from Lowell?
I live in Concord.
You live in Concord.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And
but our headquarters is in
because
Lowell.
I'm looking at your press release and it says Lowell.
Well, that's our headquarters.
That's
is
where
in
your
Lowell.
headquarters
yeah,
are.
that's
okay?
where the office is in Lowell.
And of course, Lowell, an important community in the how many cities and towns in the
37.
37.
Yeah.
Big number.
Yeah.
But what you have here is you have an endorsement that I have a copy of in my hand, and also you turned in all your signatures and got them certified.
We did indeed. We
Congratulations
did
on that.
Thank
That's
you very
another
much.
big task.
It is. Yeah. It's fine to congratulate me, but I congratulate and thank the amazing volunteers who stood outside of market baskets and train stations and collected them for a couple of months. And this is a team effort, and I'm only as good as the people who are around me. And I give these young people who've stood in the cold. Of course, we all know what February and March have been like in Massachusetts, and these are just amazing group of people who
and to get 2,000 certified, you probably need at least 3,000 or 4,000 because of a lot of signatures get tossed out.
I think we had over 5,000.
I know what it's like. I held a sign for him this year.
Did you?
It was brutally cold. It was vicious snow, and I went for a coffee break.
I don't control the weather.
The first time, this is a true story. The first time I ever held a political sign was for Paul Tsongas in 1992.
Oh, yeah.
In the presidential campaign in the freezing cold New Hampshire. It was he had an authenticity and a sincerity about him that just made me want to. It made a somewhat cynical 17-year-old want to stand outside and hold the sign.
He was a genuine guy. He was a great guy.
He's a good one.
Yeah,
good one, of course.
and his wife has done a pretty nice job too.
She sure has, and without a doubt, I mean, I think Niki Tsongas has been a remarkable congresswoman, a real leader for the district, and whoever wins this one, and of course we think and hope it's going to be us, has some big shoes to fill. There's no doubt about that.
So what do you think you can do for the district? I know you're also doing things for the country.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things besides the jobs from green energy?
Yeah.
What else do you think you can try to improve the district by doing?
Well, I think infrastructure is something that's it's a quite I say simple answer to the question, because I think there's so much work that frankly needs to be done. Whether you're talking about the western part of the district, the train lines between Fitchburg and Boston, whether you're talking about the southern part of the district, where you're talking about just really access from places like Hudson and Marlborough and others to the city, we can do better. And part of this is just about repairing roads and bridges. I mean, it's depressing, I think, as an American to be from the richest and most powerful nation on earth when you see our bridges and roads crumbling the way that they are, and our infrastructure just not state of the art. And we could and should do better. And I also think this is a really simple way for people to develop a sense of faith and trust in government, and something that's fundamentally lacking. I mean, I know, Bill, you said you're a conservative. I bet you don't have too much faith or trust in government. I mean, frankly, not very many people in our society do.
The way the government is now, and every other day you hear about something horrible or creepy or that's coming out. There seems to be a culture there, and I think it's both sides, and they're protecting each other. And I think if Donald Trump hadn't got president, we never would have heard of all these things going on. These things would have been, kept under wraps. It's like the movie Chappaquiddick and what's coming out. If the public knew about Ted Kennedy after Chappaquiddick, he never would have got reelected again. They hampered that, and basically they gave him a pass on that. But we'll talk about that. We have a caller coming.
And I also want to remind all of the listeners, 978-374-1900 is the number for you to call if you have a question, a comment, and just want to become part of the open mic tonight. 978-374-1900. Let's go to our first call this evening. Hello, caller.
Yes, Bill?
Yes, how are you?
Dr. Gerard Boucher.
Hey, how are you, doctor?
Yeah, I'm the first caller, huh?
You are. Say hello to Rufus.
Yeah, is it Ruben, is it?
Rufus.
It's Rufus.
Rufus. I'm sorry.
Rufus. It's a very weird name. I cursed my parents for the first several years of my life.
That's a nice name. Don't be proud of it.
Yeah, but now I love it because no one can forget it once they hear it.
Not the name that counts, it's the person.
That's right. That is true.
You know what you should do, though?
I just want to ask
Play off of the name of Rufus, the last two letters of U.S.
A lot of people call our Congress since Obama lame duck Congress, because they do the same thing to Trump. They're doing to Obama. No matter what negative things he does, whatever positive things he's trying to do, why can't Congress stand by the president's side and overwhelmingly support him in some of the positive things that he is doing, like Obama did? He did a lot of wonderful things, and there's no reason why they can't support Trump in some of the things he's doing that's positive.
It's funny you mentioned lame duck. Lame duck usually is in the last year or last term. I mean, he's in his first term in his first year, or a year and a half now. Right?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Want to comment, Rufus?
Well, I would just say this, that, if, without a doubt, I don't care what the party that's in the White House is, if a president passes a bill that I believe is the right decision, I would have no hesitancy in standing by his or her side, and while he or she signs that bill. Again, look, I'm in this to serve the country, and yes, I am a Democrat, and I'm proud to be a Democrat. There's no doubt about that. But this is about moving the country forward. The party system is designed to give people a perspective as to what the direction that we may disagree on how to move in that direction. Right? We may disagree on the tactics, but fundamentally we're all Americans, and we need to work together in order to move the country forward. It's just as simple as that. I don't.
Now with politics,
well, that's what I'm trying to say. Because no matter what Obama did, they contradict him.
Right.
Even if it was positive and for the best of the country, like Trump.
Yeah, I remember it well because I was working in Washington for a few of those years,
Yeah,
and we called the Republicans the Republican Party of No at the
That's
time.
terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they just contradict. Even a lot of Republicans against Trump. If there's some positive things he's doing, why can't they just work with him to make it better for the betterment?
That's what Rufus says he'd like to be part of the icebreaker for that.
I'd love to try. Look, but I also understand that if I get elected, I'm one of 435 people. So it's this is more than just one person, and I really do believe all your listeners have a role to play in this too. That you actually
35 people are running for Congress.
No, that's how many people there are in Congress.
That's how many congressmen and women there are. But
How many are running for? How many candidates are running for?
All 435 are up for the election.
Yeah, that is true. No, we're all running
in the
now.
House. They're all running every 2 years.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But I think he wants to know how many running now.
In this
your district.
I believe that there are 12 candidates.
That's what I had heard.
12, really? Huh?
Yes.
Well, thank you for that answer, and you got my support, and I wish you nothing but the best and good luck.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that very, very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thank
Now,
you. Bye-bye.
you want to do good, which I can understand.
Yeah.
But your first day in Washington, I'm sure the leadership's going to come down and talk to you.
Yeah.
And you may be pressed with something that you don't like about a bill that they're going to tell you that it would be in your best interest to vote for this bill because you're also looking to have some infrastructure work done in Massachusetts. You're at a crossroads. What do you do?
Hey, this is kind of the magic. This is leadership,
Not
right?
magic. There's not magic about it.
Well, no, but my point is here. This is leadership. This is what politics is all about. It can be give and take at times. I think that it's again though not compromising your values. It's prioritizing what you think the needs of your constituents are. So. Those choices are going to be tough at times. You're not going to get everything you want, even though you should fight for everything you want. But eventually, you're going to have to make a decision. And my goal will always be to try to make the decision that best moves the ball forward for my constituents, whatever those issues are. And I know that might be what every politician tells you. I can tell you, though, that, look, I have the experience to back this up. Again, I've done this in a bipartisan way, or I should say, more a nonpartisan way. I think we've done some pretty impressive things.
You could also say a nine-partisan way.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually true. That is true.
9 parties.
Yeah. And it's I'll give you an example of that because I think it makes sense. So I talked about this. What was a Danish-led effort to remove chemical weapons from Syria? Right, a very big deal, a very important thing. So one of the parties that I happen to disagree with politically with very, very much. I don't like the rhetoric. I think they're very divisive. I think they're very anti-immigrant. Now, I was happy to sit across the table with them, not ignore my personal politics at the time, because I needed to get their support to remove chemical weapons from Syria. So that, in the moment, was moving the ball forward. So it's an example of what I feel like I could do.
What's the name of the party?
The Danish People's Party.
Okay, I didn't know if you were talking here or in the United States.
No, sorry. Yes, no, this is overseas.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just I've never been a politician before, so I've never been an elected official that can have these conversations directly.
So you weren't a politician before?
No.
Donald Trump wasn't either. You're good standing, my friend.
I don't know. I'm not certain that I want to join that company, but I appreciate. But it's.
I figured that. So anyway, so what did you do to help move things along with the people that were anti-immigrant? Now I got to ask you a question: were they anti-immigrant or anti-illegal immigrant?
Well, they honestly were in favor of. Some members of the party had proposed everything from a Muslim ban to things along those. And frankly, they're considerably further to the right, in large part, than most of the politics, even of the president here. Steve Bannon was a student of far-right European nationalism. And Americans broadly don't actually accept these movements because we are a nation of immigrants. I think everybody knows that. The European countries have a much, much more difficult time managing the process of immigration than Americans do. This is something that I celebrated over the course of my ambassadorship. But regardless, that their domestic politics on immigration didn't matter in the conversations I was having. My goal was on an issue that was unrelated to that. So I use this as an example. I may hate the politics of a personal of someone who may be on the opposing in the opposing political party, but I always believe that we can work together to help solve some challenge in society. And again, that may be a conservative congressman from Oklahoma who I think I could convince that green energy, wind energy in particular, would be good for their district, just like it would be good for mine.
Well, if you want the guy from Oklahoma to win over, just tell me you're a Sooners fan. And you're,
yeah, it could be as simple as that.
Oh, it's easy. Yeah. Just tell them I hope the Cornhuskers never make it to the game.
We can do that.
The interesting thing is, so what transpired afterwards? When you sat across from these people, what came about the meeting? I mean, did you gain what you wanted to?
We did.
Okay.
We didn't always get everything we wanted, but it was the point here was that it was my job as ambassador to ensure that a majority of Parliament would vote in favor of essentially the Danes taking the lead on this critically important mission at the time. That was my job as ambassador. And it was my job to take politics out of this. So the domestic politics was not part of my negotiation. It was my goal to build relationships with all 9 political parties and to try to get them to the same place that I thought would make the world a better place in that moment. Now, we would disagree wholeheartedly on immigration with that party. The American government would disagree wholeheartedly at the time, that American government, the Obama administration, would disagree with that party. And even the parties on the far left we would disagree with as well. But we always felt like we could come to some collective agreement on some issue. And that's what I think Congress has to do, too.
You also sound like the kind of person that doesn't make it personal, because that's what I keep out of my decision making.
Yeah.
You don't need to make it personal. You can agree to disagree. You can agree to meet halfway or somewhere along, the continuum, but you don't have to hate them for life because they don't agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think that's going on in Washington right now. Yeah. Is that there's so much, we can't go along with the Republicans, or we can't go along with the Democrats when Obama was in.
Yeah.
And it splits along party lines.
Yeah, you have to have that. I remember when I was in college and I debated. I mean, I'd go toe-to-toe with the competition. Once the bell rang, it was over. You shake hands and you talk about something else.
Yeah.
And this, what's funny about this? And I asked one time. I've worked for a lot of senators and folks in my life, and I always ask, why is there so much divisiveness in politics? Why is there so much division in Congress? The best answer that I ever received, which was from Bill Nelson, who's a senator from Florida, and he said to me, it's because no one lives in D.C. anymore. So he said, when I first elected to the House or the Senate, my wife was friends with the wife of a Republican senator, and our kids went to school together, and we'd go to soccer games together, and we'd socialize together. The problem now, he said, the problem now, and I understand why. You want to be with your constituents, with your voters, and you want to spend as much time in the district as possible. But that has led to a lack of kind of just sort of common friendship amongst the various congressmen and senators, which made sense to me. It really did, and somehow we've got to value that. We've got to value that sort of human spirit, that human interaction, because that's what democracy is all about, right? It's about people.
Right. I'm going to interject, then we're going to go to a break.
We're going to go to a break.
Yeah.
One second there. When you mentioned that about the kids playing with each other, reminded me of the story that when Abraham Lincoln's sister-in-law, his wife's sister, came to visit. She lived in Virginia with the nephew, and they asked the nephew, who's the president? He goes, Jefferson Davis. So that must have made for some interesting conversation at the dinner table.
Hopefully laughs.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Rufus Gifford from Concord, running for the congressional seat for the 3rd Massachusetts district, currently held by Niki Tsongas, who is retiring. I would like to just give you the microphone one more time to wrap up. Let people know also how they can best get a hold of you. What are what's coming up in your campaign? And I'd also like to if you have opened the door for you to come back, when you have something important to announce or just want to contact the people within our listening district.
Or after you get elected.
Yeah.
Well, definitely after you get elected.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Bill, thank you. This is really fun, a great conversation, and I'm sure it could go on a lot longer. Look, everybody, I appreciate you listening tonight. It's just been an amazing honor to be out there over the course of the last 5 months, just talking to people, engaging with voters. We traveled to all of the 37 cities and towns. We've talked to people, and people are fired up, and it's really, really exciting to see. We are going to run sort of what we call the most modern and most old-fashioned campaign at the same time, meaning the most modern, we're going to have the right technology to know where the voters are and who needs to vote, but the most old-fashioned, because this is the most important, that we're going to win with handshakes and eye contact and conversation and dialogue and door knocking and phone calls. We need to bring the true face of democracy back, which is the human-to-human interaction, and that's why we need to have frank conversations, frank discussions. We may not agree on everything, but I sure as heck believe that we agree on more than we disagree on.
Great. Okay. And
good luck.
They can go on Facebook and find you at
RufusGifford.com, RufusGifford.com, and come see us, 175 Merrimack Street, downtown Lowell. We'd love to have you. Stop in anytime. We got the lights on pretty much every night of the week. So.
Sounds great. Thank you for your time and coming into WHAV, and we'll see you along the campaign trail.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's been just great. Appreciate you having me. Take care.
Best of luck, Rufus.
Thanks.
And we are going to be right back after a few messages right here on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
This spot could have been yours. Support WHAV's local approach with your underwriting. Go to WHAV.net and click on advertising to reach thousands of new customers.
Catch the wave!
Hi, Tom Bergeron here. I started at WHAV in 1972. And look, WHAV's still here, but it won't be if you don't help support it. Go to WHAV.net. Become a contributor. Keep us going.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
All right, we are back right now on the new open mic, and we are just kind of shifting chairs around as Rufus Gifford, our guest during our first hour. We're going to have a very interesting, kind of different topic coming up after the 7 o'clock hour starts. We're going to have a little talk on Asperger's works.
I'm interested in that because I have a good friend of mine whose son has that.
Eva is here and she's going to be joining us. And but first, we got to talk about we got to bring it up to the top of the hour. What's going on in your life? What do you want to talk about?
Saturday night, I went to one of the greatest sports events ever. The Massachusetts Pirates playing at the DCU Center in Worcester. It's a arena football, National Arena League, they call it. It's indoor football. They beat the Maine Mammoths by a score of 51-24. And what's exciting about it, Billy, is these guys are going, it's 50 yards. They're going 100 miles an hour, trying to catch the ball.
Crashing into the boards?
The boards. I was like, oh, my God.
Like hockey without ice.
I'm telling you, it was great. There's a lot of participation with the players and the fans. If they score a touchdown, they basically are right there with the fans. They throw balls into the crowd. When they kick a field goal, there's no nets. The ball goes into the stands, and the people get to keep it.
Now, years ago, I heard about arena football, but it fell apart, didn't it?
Arena football, it's funny.
Is it coming back now?
It's interesting. This particular league had 8 teams last year. 5 of them failed. So they get 3 existing teams and 3 new teams, of which Worcester is one of the new teams. But it's exciting though. The tickets are cheap.
Yeah.
And it's the same time frame as football. NFL, 4 15-minute quarters, and it's exciting. And there are some people that have played NFL that are now playing in this.
Yeah. Canadian football players may come down and play, and but Vince McMahon's starting the XFL again. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's starting to put it together. He says he'll have it together, I think, for next year.
Well, it's tough because a lot of these arena leagues, they don't seem to make it.
Right.
And I don't know why, because you go to an NFL game, and of course, it's
and then there's
stadium.
there's the XFL, and then there's another group. They're going to call it the AFL.
Really?
For the American Football League. Yeah.
Well, the AFL is the AFC, NFC, whatever. Yeah, that's the old name.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you,
I heard there's a lot of football interest anyway, and we'll see what happens. In the meantime, I'm very interested in the Red Sox. 8-1 as of yesterday. What do you think of that?
It's a good start.
They pulled that game out. Did you see?
Yeah,
hear about
six runs in that one inning.
8th inning. Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you, they're playing great. I understand that that kid Judge down at the Yankee Stadium, they booed him.
Yeah.
I think he went 0 for 5 one game.
Yeah.
And
the Yankees were supposed to be on top by a lot of people.
Yeah, but the thing is, we haven't played 10 games yet.
But you know what they say? It's early. The games don't matter as much. They do matter because at the end of the season, when there's a handful of games left, 1 or 2 games can make the difference as to whether a team gets in, whether they finish on top, if they're a wild card.
It's great to win as many as you can in the beginning.
Right. Win them
that's
all.
that many less that you have to win towards the end if the pressure's on.
But I think the one loss they have was their first game.
It was.
That was the one that...
And they were up.
That Sale pitched, and they should have won that one.
Yeah.
So
it would have been nice if they were perfect, but
so
we still
far,
have a way to go. But it looks promising.
Cora's doing a good job as the new manager.
Yeah, he's doing excellent.
Yeah.
And the Bruins are playing well.
The Bruins are playing well. They're going to go on to the playoffs. So a lot of good stuff happening in Boston sports. And a lot of people say we're fortunate to be Boston people because we have great sports teams compared to other areas that their teams hardly ever get to the playoffs, let alone win.
It's depressing. How would you like to live in Cleveland?
The heart of rock and roll.
Yeah,
I've been there a few times.
You'd have to be in the rock and roll, not in the football. I'm telling you.
I've been to the Rock and Roll Museum. Have you ever been?
I've never been.
It's pretty interesting.
Well, you're big into music. We should talk about that sometime.
I got music in my blood. Yeah.
Do you know you would like? There's that Amazon Alexa, the little tubular thing.
Yeah.
There's a thing called Song Quiz. And you play against somebody else somewhere in the country.
I don't want some machine, probably tied to some radical group that can listen in on everything I say in my house.
Why? Don't put it in the bed. Don't put it in the bedroom. That way nobody pick up anything.
No, it's not there. It's just everywhere. I was at my son's house Sunday, and his little kid, my grandchild, says he wanted to hear the swimming song. It's a kid's song, and he's doing this, and all his wife said was, Alexa, play this, so and so's swimming song. I didn't know Alexa was up on the mantle, but all of a sudden she wakes up, but she has to be kind of semi-alert to hear her name.
Well,
right?
when she hears her name, then she wakes up.
I was watching on HBO the show. Oh boy, it's Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
You ever see that?
No.
They've got this really out there 23rd century kind of setting, and up in the middle they have I forget the name they gave to it, but basically they had an Alexa at the top of the big tent outside, and it just constantly monitored. It could play back what you just said. It was like it's scary.
It is scary, but they did have an interesting case down in Connecticut. There was a girl and a guy, and the guy who started, I guess, hitting the girl, and he said to her, "You didn't call the sheriff, did you?" Well, she said no, and apparently Alexa picked up, called the sheriff,
right?
And sure enough, the sheriff shows up, and the guy got arrested.
Yeah, so I'm very futuristic thinking, modern things, cell phone, which is really my little computer, and I can read my. But I'm not against that. But on the other hand, there's a certain level of privacy that I'm not
There isn't
willing. I'm not
anymore.
willing to give up.
There isn't
You're
anymore.
never not on camera. I mean, I'm doing a radio show, and there I am. I'm on camera, right? I mean, every place there's
we
a
can change that if you'd like.
There's a
I'm sure
camera.
there'd be a lot of viewers that wouldn't
No,
want to have to
we
look
don't.
at you
You know,
either.
we have people that watch on on the cable channel on HC
Well,
Media. And,
Billy, that's only there 'cause
but I'm
you
just
wanted
saying,
to
you
see
can't
yourself.
Go, where can you go? I guess maybe restrooms is the only place that they're not legally allowed.
Legally.
allowed to
Yeah.
put cameras. But other than that, you know, it's you go to buy a cup of coffee, you go to pump your gas. No matter where you go, you're on camera.
You are on camera, and everybody's listening. You know what? You ever feel that it's quite odd when they turn around and they talk about not conversation, but chatter on the terrorist groups? Well,
Yeah.
how do they know there's a lot of chatter? They got to be hearing something,
Right, because they're constantly monitoring. Oh, there's a lot of chatter going on.
They
right now.
basically can set up every phone, cell phone in the country. So if there's a certain word that's said, it beeps back to somebody. So if you ever said the code word is, if you hear somebody say Zimbabwe, so all of a sudden if you and I are talking and we say Zimbabwe, somebody gets notified that there's a conversation going on about that. And
Yeah.
I think that's the same way that they can listen in. They can listen in. There's a place out in California they talked about. All the international phone calls come through this location.
I was told like 40 years ago that they had the technology, at least the government did, to ring your phone, and if you don't pick it up and reset it, it's like a microphone in your house. I
believe
they probably
I
had
can
that
believe
technology.
most anything is capable.
Yeah, and
so Billy, all
so
this
I was
leads
told
to is
when you walk in your house. This is before cell phones. When you walk in your house, you should always go over and lift your phone off the cradle and put it back down, in order to break that connection. In case they did that while you were out, they rang your phone one time, and I can remember getting one ring calls.
That was me.
That was you?
It was around 3 in the morning.
You rethought it? I don't really want to talk to him. Hey, we're going to take a break right now. It's almost just about 7 o'clock. And what? Go ahead, Bill.
You should lead more of a pure life. If you're concerned,
I lead a pure life.
Keep the foul language down.
I've lived in a glass house most of my life because,
a
when you put your name on a ballot, you got to be pretty clean or it's coming out.
Your glass needs a lot of Windex action.
It's 7 o'clock right here on the new open mic. I'm Bill Macek. My co-host is Bill Ellis, and we are the new open mic program on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 7:01.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening in local news. Third graders who have not yet mastered reading are more likely to drop out of high school, cost taxpayers money in health care and social services over their lifetimes, and go to jail. Those stark facts were presented last Wednesday night at Constantino School during a forum, Haverhill Reads, an initiative for school success. The forum was broadcast live by 97.9 WHAV-FM. Speakers said Haverhill's third graders lag behind students in similarly sized cities. Titus Dos Remedios, Director of Research and Policy at Boston-based Strategies for Children, explained.
Now, when we compare Haverhill to similar comparison cities, we find that it still trails behind Salem, Leominster, Westfield, Barnstable, Peabody, Quincy. These are small cities with demographics similar to Haverhill.
He said Haverhill began to fall below the state average a dozen years ago. The numbers are worse for third graders from poor families.
So in Haverhill, 37% of our low-income students from low-income families, score proficient on the test.
Solving the problem, participants agreed, means beginning earlier, educating children as young as toddlers. Even then, however, Speaker Dos Remedios acknowledged school districts across the country have met with only limited success.
None of the communities we have talked about today, or none of the 300 that are part of the national campaign, have completely solved this, all right? It's something that takes time.
Amy O'Leary, Strategies for Children's Early Education for All director, said a Harvard report highlighted possible solutions. These include language training beginning at birth, assessing students earlier than third grade, partnering with families, and better teacher training. She praised the current school administration for winning a preschool planning grant. During a panel discussion, State Representative Andy Vargas, a member of the legislature's Education Committee, pointed out the state last adjusted how it pays local communities for education 25 years ago.
The last time we really looked at our funding formula seriously for education was 1993, the year I was born, coincidentally.
Vargas said his committee recognizes the state must do more to pay for public education before kindergarten and after high school. Diane Palmacio, a reading specialist at Silver Hill Horace Mann Charter School, said greater parental involvement is needed, perhaps with the encouragement of non-school groups such as church and social services staff.
I think we have to show them how simple it is to be a partner in their child's education.
Haverhill School's District Supervisor of Social Studies and World Languages, Rashawn Jamal Martin, said there are many early literacy programs from which to choose, but Haverhill needs to pick one.
I just want, somebody, who knows, maybe she'll say, well, why don't you decide, but, just to decide what the literacy programs are going to be, all right? And then let's let's stick to them, and let's fund them and let's get them district-wide.
Economist Thomas Graneman called on the Haverhill School Committee to give incoming Superintendent Margaret Murata the money she needs to implement reading programs.
When economists talk about public programs, they often use words like equity and efficiency. Equity meaning everyone is treated either the same or at least equally or fairly in some sense. Efficiency meaning that we're using resources wisely to get the most value from the dollars that we spend. Both concepts, I think, equity and efficiency, are relevant for tonight's discussion.
School committee member Gail Sullivan agreed. She called for hiring an English language supervisor and creating a strategic plan where reading is the #1 goal, among other suggestions. The Haverhill Education Coalition-sponsored discussion was moderated by Naomi Custodia Laura, Northern Essex Community College's vice president for its Lawrence campus. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Kim Whiting.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Rebecca Foster. The United Nations is considering a resolution to allow humanitarian access to the site of an alleged chemical weapons attack in Syria. North Korea has told the U.S. it's willing to discuss denuclearization during the upcoming meeting between Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump. And China has stepped up its attacks on the Trump administration over billions of dollars in threatened tariffs.
Wave weather.
Here is the WAVE weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, cloudy skies, low 26, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy with snow showers mixing with rain, high 46. The outlook for Tuesday night, a chance of isolated snow showers, then becoming partly cloudy, low 28. Snow accumulations on Tuesday of an inch or less. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next WAVE weather in 30 minutes.
97.9 WHAV.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are back this hour. It is 7:07, and it is a Monday night here at WHAV on the new Open Mic. I'm Bill Macek, and my co-host is Bill Ellis here tonight with us. But this hour, we have something very special to talk about. We have a couple of people that are very active with Asperger's Works, and you're located in Lawrence, correct? Yes. Yeah. And I have Eva and Marion. All right, I'll get that right. Before the hour's up, I'll have it right. Okay. And you both work there full-time?
We are both on the board.
You're both on the board. Okay, we got to get you to get a little closer to the mic, so move right up and kind of lean into the microphone because
we are both on the board of directors.
Okay.
And Marion is the event coordinator for our Dinner of Hope, and I am the secretary.
And you have a big event coming up, right?
Yes, on the 21st at Maria's in Haverhill.
Great. And that event is called?
The Dinner of Hope.
The Dinner of Hope, okay.
Yes.
And if somebody would like to go to that dinner, and if they have somebody in their family that they would like to make a donation, they can do that just by contacting who? Who do they contact? Or how do they contact?
Well,
online or?
We are on Facebook at our webpage, Asperger Works, and also on our website, which is aspergerworks.org.
Okay.
And if you click on the link to the Dinner of Hope, then it will take you to that page, and from there you can order tickets.
Okay. I have a quick question. What is Asperger's?
Okay, Asperger's is now considered to be on the autism spectrum. It used to be its own diagnosis, and all over the world it is separate from autism. But in America, it has they grouped them together. To the dismay of a lot of the people who who have Asperger's, because they don't believe that they fit totally on that spectrum. Asperger's is basically people with Asperger's are very high functioning. Many of them have advanced degrees, so they feel that it's a disservice to be compared to autistic people.
Because they can be more competitive in a sense with the education?
Or fit into the norm of every day?
And one of the problems with people with Asperger's, I am the mother of a young man who has Asperger's. He's the founder of our organization.
Oh, okay.
Daniel. And one of the big problems they have is that they look, quotes unquote, normal. So it's not until something happens that too much noise or something that triggers something in them that makes them look different.
Ah, okay.
So
and how do they react? Is it a violent reaction, or what type of reaction is it that?
Their favorite saying is, if you meet a person with Asperger's, you meet a person with Asperger's. Every single one of them is different.
It's different, okay.
Different. So, we have a board member who also has cerebral palsy, and when he gets nervous or upset, he just starts rocking back and forth.
Huh, okay.
Okay, we have another one also on our board who, if too many people are talking at the same time, he just puts his hand over his head, because it's too much for him to handle. Some people are bothered by the lights, some people are bothered by smells. I mean, each one has some...
Now, are there any treatments or medications that diminish the problems that come with Asperger's?
Do you know the answer to that?
Pull the mic over.
Oh, I'm sorry. I want Marion
mic.
to be able to talk here. I don't want to dominate.
Actually, I'll give her this one. You two can... We'll share this one.
But basically, they are coming out with medications, but many people with Asperger's don't want to be medicated. They feel that Asperger's is part of themselves, and that if you take that away, then you take away their creativity, you take away what makes them the special people that
right.
they
You
are.
don't want to medicate them to the point that they're not normal, but you don't want to, maybe if you could stop the affliction that comes.
At what age did the diagnosis usually come?
Well, for boys, it comes about at the age of 2, 3, something like that. Girls is a totally different story. Girls are very social. They so for them, sometimes it doesn't come until adulthood.
Wow, that's very interesting that there's so much difference between case to case.
It's and that's what makes it so difficult to diagnose.
What's the percentage male to female?
It's, I think, 5 to 1.
5 male to 1 female?
Yeah. And Asperger, after whom it is the syndrome is named, he never even thought about girls being affected because the first sign is the antisocial behavior.
And how long ago was that? Do you know?
Back in the 30s, I believe.
So it wasn't even that long ago. It was.
No, but here in the United States, it wasn't recognized until the 90s.
Until the 90s?
Right.
Because it was part of,
wow.
They thought it was, autism.
That's amazing.
But it was also because they didn't, it was just never, they didn't understand it because it was different from autism.
Now, do you think there's a percentage of people that have Asperger's but they're not aware of it, undiagnosed?
Especially women.
Especially women.
Especially women. Men too, but especially women.
Are there certain tests to try, or is it just through the symptoms?
Well, oftentimes the women who have discovered that they had Asperger's discovered because of their children. So they took their children for tests, and I was reading a book, and I can't remember the woman's name, but she said after the doctor, the psychologist tested her children, she said, okay, so now let's test you. And she said, what do you mean? And it turned out that she did have Asperger's, but the problem is that there are very few people qualified to test for Asperger's.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's one person in this whole area in Boston, Beth Israel, who is qualified to run the test
Wow.
and to diagnose. And she was the one who diagnosed my son.
Is it a hereditary disease?
They're not 100% sure. There is a factor in there.
Some genetic makeup that transfers?
Yeah, but they're
But
not.
it may skip.
It probably will be hard to determine now, since it was just recognized in the 1990s.
Here.
So it would take many generations to really
They're
find out.
thinking that it's both genetic and environmental.
Okay.
So that it's both, and it's again, it's one of those things that often people think that it's like a made-up thing because, as I said, most of them look totally like you and me.
Yeah.
And as my son said, who would want to choose this? Because he grew up, when he went to school, he was diagnosed with undefined learning disability, and then they didn't do anything for him, but then he became a statistic.
Right.
Right. And it wasn't until he was an adult that we found out
what was really going on.
What was going on, yeah.
Wow.
And for him, it was a major relief.
Very interesting. We're going to take a short pause right now, and we'll be right back with more to this discussion on Asperger's tonight, right here on the new Open Mic on 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the new Open Mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
The Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom turns out local programs every day and night. Tune in for local news, community spotlight, And the Open Mic Show, 97.9 WHAV, is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave!
Would it surprise you to know radio still reaches more than 90% of people in every age group every week? It's a fact. And 97.9 WHAV FM's target audience averages 92%. While other media are cutting back, area residents turn to WHAV for local news, information, and entertainment they cannot find elsewhere. Add what has been called the halo effect of public radio, and listeners find business messages more credible and trustworthy than other forms of advertising. For a no-obligation assessment about how WHAV can help your business reach more people than all other local media combined, call 978-374-1900 or visit WHAV.net.
Community Spotlight.
Junior golfers, get ready for tee time. The PGA Junior League has partnered with several area courses to offer budding golfers the chance to play locally without having to be a member of the clubs. Bradford Country Club, Haverhill Golf and Country Club, and the Atkinson Resort and Country Club are among the Merrimack Valley clubs welcoming boys and girls aged 13 and under to hit the links with expert instruction from PGA and LPGA pros. Registration fees vary by location. More information at pgajrleague.com. Someone you know is on WHAV. To submit or read your own nonprofit announcements, click the Contact tab at WHAV.net or email it to news@WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
We are back on the new Open Mic. Right now, we have a special topic. We're dealing with Asperger's and the Asperger's Works organization that is in Lawrence, but you must serve at least the Merrimack Valley, if not more, right? You'll reach anybody that reaches out for assistance. I'm sure you would be there for them. We have Eva and Marion in from Asperger's Works. And
give a phone number, Will, and maybe if somebody wants to call.
Yeah, if somebody wants to call in as a comment or a question, 978-374-1900. That's our number, and you can call in anytime during this hour program, 978-374-1900. Now, while we were at break, we were talking about, I asked the question as to what percentage of the people are affected by Asperger's, and it's a startling number, so I'm going to pass the microphone over, and whoever wants to take it.
1 in 68.
1 in 68. That is
high.
High.
Quick question. Your son Daniel, when did you notice something with him?
I don't know if we actually noticed so much as he was just struggling in school, and then when we moved to Haverhill, we were assured that in Haverhill the special ed department is really good.
It is,
so
yes.
We allowed him to be tested, and but the end result was that he did not get the services that he needed.
Oh, it's unfortunate because
Yeah.
Haverhill, I know we do our best to try to give the type of quality that special needs students need.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we lived in Brockton before, and at that time we had him tested. I think it was my brother-in-law who noticed some kind of what he called left-sided weakness in Daniel, but we never noticed it.
But he was able to go
He-
into higher education and get a degree.
Well, my son got his master's in information technology at Endicott College.
That's fantastic. Congratulations to him.
Right.
And you. I'm sure you encouraged him. And
well, we love him.
Made him feel comfortable, right?
We love him.
Right. That's right.
He's a wonderful, wonderful person. He really is.
Well, I'm sure.
He was wonderful when he was a baby, and he's never been anything else. And not because he's my son.
But well, if he's anything like his mother, I'm sure he's exactly that. And I mean,
enough with the flirting, Bill.
All right. Okay.
Quick question. I know autism came to light with the Tom Cruise movie with I can't remember, the Dustin Hoffman.
Rain Man.
Rain Man. And
this is the curse of people with Asperger's, because they are, since they are on the autism spectrum, everybody expects people with Asperger's to be either like Rain Man, who was severely autistic, but he was a savant, or to be like Einstein, who now people believe was, because he has the typical, the antisocial, all of that. So, and there's no room for the people in between. So, and this is a real problem. Like one of the iconic characters in television is Sheldon Cooper. Yep. Sheldon Cooper has Asperger's, even though they've never actually said that. And he's brilliant.
60 Minutes did a thing years ago with 3 folks that had autism. One turned around, and the mother heard what she thought was the radio one night. And the young fellow's playing the piano, like a classical pianist. And there was another one that was an artist. And then the third one, if you asked him to add 5 plus 5, he'd come up with 9. But if you asked him what the weather was like on July 4th, 1976, he'd tell you it was 76 degrees, it was cloudy in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It's amazing how certain parts of the brain, how it works.
Right.
Right. Yeah, it is amazing. It is amazing. So, tell us a little more about your dinner that's coming up, and it's not just a dinner. I think even WHAV's Tim Coco will be the MC.
Yes,
so
he will.
That makes it special. And tell us what else is going to be going on. You have some speakers that evening, I think, too. And it's not just a meal and get out. It's going to be, informational and I'm sure entertaining. So,
yes.
We have a birthday call.
We have a birthday call. Before we hand the mic over to you, because we allow calls whenever they come in to get on the air. And one of the things that we do here is we have birthday and anniversaries that we announce when somebody calls in for the next month, and then at the end of each month before, we give away a cake. Yes. So,
you know what I thought would make this even more interesting? When they call in, they get an entry into the birthday cake or anniversary cake. I can ask them a trivia question. If they get it right, they have 2 entries in. That would make it a little exciting, Will.
We'll run that past management.
Okay.
Okay. I can't make that decision. I've just inherited the
and
way
I
it's
thought
always,
you were the captain.
Always been done this way. Yeah. All right. The rule book says, caller, hello. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hello. Who is this?
Hello, Bill.
Who is this? Kenny.
This is Jason.
Oh, David. Okay. All right.
No,
Jason. Boy, my ears. Oh, Jason, how are you?
Good.
Now I know who I'm talking with. Yes, how are you?
All right.
All right. Thanks for listening. Who's your birthday or anniversary?
This is for Kevin.
Kevin? Birthday?
Kevin.
What's
May 27th.
May 27th for Kevin.
It's my father's birthday and my nephew's birthday.
Nobody cares right now about that, Bill.
Are you sure about that?
No.
You will when my nephew's a police officer. When he pulls you over, I will remind him that you said that.
That was also John Kennedy's birthday.
It was John Kennedy's
John Kennedy?
birthday.
I didn't know that. Where was John Kennedy born? If you answer that question, you have 2 entries into the birthday.
27th, 1917. He would have been 101.
And where was he born?
He was born in Brookline.
We'll give him 2 entries. We'll override management.
We'll try. All right. Jason, thanks for calling in. Thanks for listening. And don't be a stranger. Call in with any questions or comments you ever have during the open mic program.
Okay, fine.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Enjoy your night.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
Jason. All right. All right. So that's the way it works. You call in your anniversary or your birthday for the following month. So we're looking for May birthdays or anniversaries now.
I never knew that he was born on May 27th, John Kennedy.
Well, if you want to believe Jason, he
I will
Google
it.
Seemed to know what he was talking about.
I will. What year was he born?
He said 101 years ago.
1917?
It'll be 101 years, so it must have been
1917.
17, yeah.
Well.
All right, let's get back to Asperger's works. Okay. Asperger, not
No
plural.
S.
Okay.
No S.
You get hamburgers on the mind.
I
Well,
learned something else. All right. Marion, you were going to take this question?
Yes.
About what's coming up for the big event and talk about what's the date again?
It's the 21st of April.
The 24th?
21st
of April.
Saturday.
That's a week from this Saturday. Right.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Because I still haven't bought my ticket yet, but I will.
You better.
I will.
And it's going to be at Maria's in Haverhill. And one of our speakers is going to be Andy Vargas.
Ah, my buddy.
He's the keynote speaker.
He's a keynote speaker.
Andy was a guest here.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. And Daniel Rivera, the mayor of Lawrence, he will also be there, and he'll be a speaker.
Great.
So it should be a really nice evening.
Unfortunately, Mayor Fiorentini will not be there. He said he doesn't go out at night yet.
Yeah, he's in recovery. Yeah.
He's in recovery.
He's doing
Otherwise,
better.
he was
Doing better.
invited, but he's doing
He
better.
was there last year. He came last year
he came last
to the
year.
event. But it's a fun night, and we look forward to having a big group of people there.
Great. Great. All right, so that's their event that's coming up.
Yeah,
and
you forgot to tell them about Stephanie
well,
Beach.
just right in there.
Sorry,
Tell
Stephanie Beach is a magician, and she's amazing.
Oh, really?
Amazing
That
magician.
stuff amazes me, I'll tell you.
And one of the nice things about her is that she does this for us every year for free.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
she
nice.
doesn't charge anything. And then this year we're going to have a live band. Now my mind just went like that. I'll
The
think-
orchestra, you mean the name of the band or the orchestra?
name of the band,
Yeah.
it's and they're local.
Okay.
And before the night is over, I will remember.
You'll remember that. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
No.
We are here until 8 o'clock at the new open mic. 978-374-1900 is the number to call in if you have any questions regarding Asperger Works.
Flash drive.
Flash Drive is the name of the band playing
Yeah,
at
sorry.
the event on the 21st.
Right.
A week from Saturday.
A week from Saturday.
Okay. Wow, the month is just flying.
Totally.
Certainly is. The year's flying. We're already in the second quarter, and I just want spring.
That's right.
You know,
I don't think we're going to see it. I think it's going to go right from winter to summer.
We'll get a few days, but it may jump fast. It may jump fast to hot, like 80 plus. But I'll take that over.
Oh,
I
anytime.
was ready for spring in
Anytime.
February. I thought we were getting it early. I thought we were having an early spring. Then along comes March.
That's Mother Nature
It
just
was
telling us who's
winter.
in charge.
Right. Yes, that's true. All right. We're going to take a break because it is the appropriate time for us to pause again at 978-374-1900. You can call in and get ready for you. We'll be ready for you right after we take a short break on the new open mic on 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
It's 7:32.
Why pay $250 to $350 a year for half as much news? On air and online. 97.9 WHAV provides more Greater Haverhill news more often than any other sources combined. Support the only Haverhill-based news source with your tax-deductible local news membership by clicking on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
Catch Catch the wave.
Melinda's Garden Moments help gardeners create and maintain a healthy, beautiful garden with ease, inside or out and all year long. This is Melinda Myers, inviting you to tune in every weekday morning right here on WHAV. You'll learn creative ways to grow your own vegetables and herbs while beautifying your landscape. Eco-friendly lawn care, flower garden design basics, unique container gardens, attracting birds and butterflies to the landscape, and much more. Again, please join me weekday mornings for Melinda's Garden Moment for a very environmentally friendly approach to gardening. Remember, only local radio can bring you this feature opportunity, but only WHAV does.
Wave weather.
Here is the wave weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, cloudy skies, low 26, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy with snow showers mixing with rain, high 46. The outlook for Tuesday night, a chance of isolated snow showers, then becoming partly cloudy, low 28. Snow accumulations on Tuesday of an inch or less. I'm WHAV meteorologist Jim Vaughn. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Back on the new Open Mic. Bill Macek here, and Bill Ellis is here also as our co-host this evening. And we're talking with Marion and Eva from Asperger Works. And they have their primary location in Lawrence, but they serve the area, the whole Merrimack Valley. So everybody within our listening range, if they have any questions or would like to discuss any particular person or thing, I'm sure they could give you a call and kind of at least start if they think, wow, you know what, maybe so-and-so should be checked. So, and that can be done.
That can be done.
Good.
Now, Eva was just telling us off the air she's from Hungary, which I think is fantastic. Now, you used to sing, you said.
Yeah.
Who did you sing like? Who was...
Like me?
Like you?
Yeah.
Was it...
I used to write my own material.
Really?
Yeah. After the Beatles, you know.
That's it. Those were the days.
If they could do it, so could I.
The Beatles were like, I always say that's the renaissance of rock and roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, the 60s into the 70s. Yeah.
And in Hungary, my dream was to become an opera singer.
Wow.
I have to tell you that.
So your voice was like a Beverly Sills?
My voice was very good. I don't know if it was like Beverly Sills, but it was very good.
Very good in your own way. Your own... You
but it was like, my own style.
Yeah.
Like
Bill used to be a singer. Your voice was probably similar to Joe Cocker.
Close. I could do gravelly voice. Yeah. I was a rock and roller, so. Yeah,
yes.
Those were the days, yeah.
Quick question. With the Asperger's, you had mentioned about Einstein.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, he probably never was diagnosed, but looking at it after.
Yeah.
I understand that his brain was a lot larger than normal people. And they credit that to maybe his extreme intelligence. Have they ever had any studies at all to brain size or brain capacity of what, because I know when they do the MRIs, they can see the activity that's going on in the brain. Have they ever done that compared to somebody that they would consider not have Asperger's or autism?
I have never heard of it, but it's worthwhile, checking out. But I've never heard of it.
Is that where the problem exists with a person with Asperger's? Is it the?
It's
neurological. It's neurological.
It's
right?
neurological.
So it's not really a brain function.
It's neurological.
It's neurological.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
my thoughts were if it triggers something in the brain, because there are other diseases now that they can somewhat control, and there are some like muscular diseases that they can implant stuff into the brain to help it seize with that. And I thought, because I know being neurological though, everything revolves around the brain, and the brain controls so much.
The neurons talk to the brain. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add that we haven't hit upon?
Well,
Marion,
don't be nervous. There's thousands of people out there listening.
Just look into the studio and picture Chris naked.
Now, why did you pick him and not yourself, Bill?
Because she's looking that way.
He's a good-looking kid, by the way, that Chris.
Yes, he
and I
is.
think he's available also.
Uh-oh.
Maybe we should have a dating show some night, Bill.
We could do that.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
You ladies both are married?
Yes.
We'll try to line that up.
Well, it's all right. We'll give you a bypass for a night that you can be single.
You want to
And
call the show Cheaters? Is that
Cheaters. There is a show called Cheaters.
Yeah, on TV.
It'll be the dating game also.
Oh, and you watch those things.
Why wouldn't you watch the dating game? That used to be a lot of fun to see what the contestants would answer. And in the Cheetah show, they say is it's lined up. I mean, you ever watch the Cheetah show?
Never.
Well, a woman would say, my boyfriend's playing around, and they follow him into a restaurant, and all of a sudden 6 cameras come up to the table. And they say, with the girlfriend there, and they catch their reaction. It's like Jerry Springer, remote.
All right. Okay, back to the topic at hand.
Yes.
All right.
Well, I would just like to talk about the Dinner of Hope again, our 3rd annual. We do have sponsorship opportunities, different levels, if anybody might be interested in, becoming a sponsor.
And can they go online to see all of the different options?
What's the website?
It's aspergerworks.org.
.org, okay.
Yeah, and then there's a link, a couple of links to the dinner, and that page has all the information.
And it's
that
on
people.
April 21st at Maria's.
At Maria's in
downtown Haverhill in the function
Galleria.
hall. The Galleria.
Galleria.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
what time?
It's
6 o'clock.
Okay. And if they forgot to get their ticket and then they remember, can they show up at the door? Some people?
Yes, they can
Tickets
buy tickets
available
at the door.
too?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay,
We have the
excellent.
capacity to even use your credit card and all
All right,
that.
you use a credit card?
I check.
All forms of payment accepted.
Exactly.
All legal forms of payment accepted.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
But it promises to be a really nice night.
Yeah, I'm sure
And
will
it
be.
has been in the past, and it has been a lot of fun.
And I love that function hall. I mean, I
Oh,
just
it's
think the
beautiful,
Galleria
isn't it?
is so nice. It's if anybody hasn't been to the Galleria, they should
Just
come
for that.
for no other reason, and then they'll
Exactly.
learn about Asperger Works, and they'll be
Right.
they'll be tied in.
And I have to say that the people at Maria's treat us really,
They're
really
very
well.
nice.
They're wonderful.
They're wonderful.
they
Very
are.
accommodating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody is hesitant because of food allergies or something like that, we have people in our families with food allergies, and they accommodate.
Great.
They accommodate everybody.
And,
So
vegetarians, they'll give them a
Everybody.
vegetarian plate, right?
yeah,
Good.
yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
So
So,
don't let that stop you.
yeah,
And tickets are going fast, so we want you to order them now.
right.
And
And Andy Vargas and Tim Coco as the MC.
yeah,
That's a good bill right there.
two of my favorite people.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, that's coming up on the 21st of this month.
And may I
It's coming
just say
quick.
one more thing?
You can say whatever you like.
Okay, the day before is my birthday.
Okay.
So if you people want me to have a really great birthday, make this a very successful event.
There
Because
you
that's
go.
the only present I want
Nicely
for my
said.
birthday.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Marion, do you have something on that page you want to read about, or are you just
No,
holding that page?
I'm
as-
just.
I see. It looks like you want to read something there, but that's all the different
Yes, that's the sponsorship
sponsorships,
opportunities,
and
right.
tickets, and where it's going on, and
Who are some of the sponsors?
Well, we have two sponsors actually. We have Pentucket Bank,
Bank, yeah.
and you guys.
nice. All
Yeah.
right.
So
That's off to a good start. We
Yeah.
just need to get some more.
it would be nice.
Hopefully we'll get some more.
It
Yeah.
would be
We're working
nice.
on it.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so now, what else do we want to talk about? We've got a few minutes left to get to quarter of. Do you want to round out how people might want to help or get involved? Or how, there must be something that you do on a regular basis. And would you need some assistance with some of it?
Yeah, well, we are always looking for volunteers. And we do have a volunteer site. And we are looking for interns. And we have different kinds of things. And if anybody is Spanish speaking, we desperately need someone who is bilingual so that they can translate some of our material into Spanish, because none of us are really fluent in Spanish. My daughter speaks some Spanish, and she does very well. In Lawrence, she's very popular. But basically, in written language, we...
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do you know the Gabor sisters?
Actually, I knew one of them.
Really? Which one?
Yeah. Jaja. She was a friend of my aunt's.
No kidding.
Is that right?
Wow.
Isn't that weird? I just come up with that. Well, I don't know too many people from Hungary, but
to color her hair.
she colored her hair blonde,
Yeah,
so she looks just like the other girls.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, they were friends from Hungary.
Interesting.
So how many sisters? There was Jaja, there was Eva.
And Magda.
Isn't there three?
There was three?
Yeah, Magda was the third.
Yeah.
The
And that was the one, which one was you knew?
Jaja.
Jaja, really?
Yeah.
Was, she got out there in the final years of her life. I remember there was an incident where she slapped a police officer in California.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
She thought she could. She was Jaja.
Well, who was her? Was she dating Merv Griffin?
She dated everybody.
She did.
We went.
Well,
we went to this ball that my uncle, who was a medical doctor, organized, and Jaja was one of the guests there, and she was with her husband, and she said, "You see him over there? He thinks he's my husband. I'm divorcing him tomorrow."
That wasn't good. But the other sister was the one that played with Ava. She was on
Green Acres.
Green Acres show.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that show.
Yeah, and Jolie was the mother, and she was like a tank. You know, she just rode over everybody for her girls.
All right, we got a quick call, the producer tells us, so we're going to go right to that call right now. Hello, caller. You're on the new open mic.
Dr. Boucher calling back.
Dr. Boucher, how are you?
All right. Thank you, Bill, and everybody, all your guests. And I didn't hear the whole program, but I want to know where I could buy a couple of tickets for the 21st.
All right, good. All right. Well, I'll hand it over to either Marion or Eva to give details. You can do it online. Can you do it online, Doctor?
No, so I'm a blind person.
I know that, yeah, but you
speak softly. Don't read all the prompts.
You became a doctor by doing things on a computer. From what I read.
Where'd you go to school, Doctor?
International. I almost forgot the name of it. International University. I did everything online.
Yeah.
You didn't get your degree from a matchbook, back of a matchbook, did you, Doctor?
Be nice to.
I know. I'm just teasing. Doc sounds like a nice guy. He is. No, I'm sorry. I don't want to lose any ticket sales.
I'm trying to find an editor, a publisher for my book.
What's the book, Doctor?
It's We Won the Battles, Washington Lost the War, where I was blinded in Vietnam.
You were blinded in Vietnam?
October 1967.
God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Doctor, the ladies are going to give
who
you.
wants to have the editor or publisher, I'll give you my phone number.
The ladies are going to give you some information on getting a couple
tickets.
tickets.
How can I get the tickets?
What would be the best way for him to get tickets?
Okay. So if you don't go online, then what you can do is that you could actually either pay at the door, or you can send us a check to Asperger Works. The address is 60 Island Street, Lawrence, Massachusetts,
Yeah, I'm not
018.
near my braille. I'm not near my braille. I can't write that down right now. Is there a telephone I can call? Telephone number?
Telephone number is 978.
Right.
978-710-9951.
790.
710-9951.
And just leave a message and we will get back to you.
710-9951. 51 710. All right, I'm going to put that. I'm going to bail that out now. All right, thank you very much.
Jerry, Doctor, I'd like to talk to you some more time about your book.
Yeah,
the
my number
air.
is 978.
Oh no! Don't give it. Don't give it over
on
the
the
air.
air.
All right,
Jerry,
give it
if
to
you have any trouble getting tickets, call me on my line, which is.
And so I'll call that number 710-9951.
All right, you got it.
Can Chris
Okay.
take your number in the other room? Billy, signal to Chris to
Chris,
see.
did you get that? He's got it. Yeah.
Like his phone number?
You got my contacts. You can give it to the interested parties.
All right, actually, could you give your number to Chris, our producer? Don't hang up.
And these gals will call you right after the show.
Okay, hold on,
All right.
Jerry. Okay, all
Thank
right.
you. Yeah,
Thank you, Jerry.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, this is the new open mic, and we've been talking about Asperger Works in Lawrence and learning a lot tonight myself, and it's just fascinating to hear about the things that go on with somebody with Asperger's and how it isn't always the same, and how it's almost a new condition that has to be diagnosed by somebody that's an expert in the field, and there aren't many of them. So you can help lead people to the right doctor to try to diagnose properly.
Right.
Right.
We could do that.
Okay. We have to take one more break, and we're going to do that right now on the new open mic right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the new open mic will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900. If you're enjoying this program, consider becoming a WHAV member right now. Just click on the membership tab at WHAV.net.
97.9 FM, WHAV.
Catch the wave!
Would it surprise you to know radio still reaches more than 90% of people in every age group every week? It's a fact. And 97.9 WHAV FM's target audience averages 92%. While other media are cutting back, area residents turn to WHAV for local news, information, and entertainment they cannot find elsewhere. Add what has been called the halo effect of public radio, and listeners find business messages more credible and trustworthy than other forms of advertising. For a no-obligation assessment about how WHAV can help your business reach more people than all other local media combined, call 978-374-1900 or visit WHAV.net.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the new Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
On the new open mic right here, 97.9 FM. We have a couple of very interesting guests, Marion and Eva from Asperger Works in Lawrence. And my co-host, Bill Ellis, is putting on his headphones, and he has a question, I think, that he'd like to pose. A little bit off topic.
You know, every time I wear these headphones, I feel like I'm a co-pilot with you.
Yeah, that'd be a good way. I'll call you my co-pilot then, rather than co-host.
That would be nice.
All right, my co-pilot.
Do you know how to fly?
I have taken a few lessons, but I never got my ticket.
Is it because of bad landings or unplanned landings instead of? I don't want to call them accidents.
I was just learning how to take off. That's all I wanted to do.
God bless you.
I said, you don't have to teach me how to land.
I'll teach you how to land.
I'm joking, of course. But who's that remind you of?
Ava.
Yeah.
You came from Hungary.
Eva.
No, Ava is okay.
Ava's fine.
Okay.
See, Billy, don't correct
she's
me,
so
please.
Nice. She'll let you call her by the wrong name.
I know. It's the old saying, don't. I don't care what you call me, just don't call me late for dinner.
Exactly.
You came here at 11 years old from Hungary. Tell us about what prompted your family to come to the United States.
Well, we were in Hungary during the revolution. And I think I really cannot tell you 100% what prompted my parents. They started talking about leaving very, very shortly after the Russians came back into Hungary and put down the revolution. And every time that they were planning to go to Yugoslavia. In Yugoslavia, all the people who went there ended up in camps, refugee camps. And every time that we were ready to leave, my sister would get a fever, and my mother would say, nope, we're not going. And then finally, one day in February, beginning of February, it was a horribly cold, and everything was frozen over, and I could not go anywhere. I got stuck like in the middle of, from my door to the gate of the fence that surrounded our home. And I looked at my mother, and she said, okay, you can come back. So I didn't go to school. Shortly thereafter, there was a knock on the door, and this weird-looking guy, he wasn't even weird-looking, he had a weird accent, which now I know was American, came that he had a letter from my uncle for my father, and in the letter my father said that this man is Dan, and he is here to take you out of Hungary.
Interesting,
and
very interesting story.
We had a couple of hours to get everything together. My mother took the sheets and put everything into all of our belongings. My sister and I were dressed like, I don't know, 20, like she put everything on us. I don't know how many layers of clothes. And I was given a backpack full of our documents, and we went with the bundles in the sheets and the backpack, and those were the only things. And unfortunately, the horrible part of it was that we had to leave my grandfather behind. And so it was to this day, it's a very painful, painful memory.
Yeah.
And
could you communicate with any of the family members after you left?
After we left, yes. Yeah. But
were there any repercussions on your grandfather?
well, in the end, what happened was that he applied for a visa to come to America, and the Kadar government wrote back to him that if my father goes back to Hungary to clear his name, then they will let both of them come out. And we all knew that that would be a death sentence for my
most
father.
definitely, yeah.
Right.
And so shortly thereafter, he basically gave up, and he died during his sleep, all by himself.
God bless him. Now, so you had to basically sneak out of under the cover of night. Is that how it worked, or how did you manage to get out?
We walked 4 days and 4 nights, mostly, and most of the days we hid, and we walked during the night. It was a really terrifying experience, to the point where, until very recently, I had difficulty being by myself outside at night. And driving at night by myself, I would think that every car following me was doing just that,
looking for
yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it was.
Which country did you go to when leaving Hungary?
We went to Austria, which was very fortunate because we didn't end up in a refugee camp.
Right. Wow.
And then how did you come to the United States? What was your travel, through Austria?
Okay, so from Austria, we went to Canada because America didn't want us because the quota was filled. And so we lived in Canada for 2 years. My father was a ham radio operator, amateur radio operator. He had a lot of connections all over, and he, through them, he got a job in the United States, and that's how we came over from Canada to the U.S.
What part of Canada?
Montreal.
Montreal?
Yeah.
Beautiful city. Have you ever been up to Montreal, Billy?
I have been, yes.
It is nice.
Yes.
You spent too much time in St. Catherine Street, though.
Travel a lot. No, I don't think so. But
no, I've been there. I love Notre Dame Cathedral and Mont Royal. It's
no, it's beautiful.
It is a great city. if anybody's listening, it's not that far away, and Montreal is beautiful.
Beautiful. It is.
But you need a passport to go and come.
Nowadays you do, yeah.
Now you
We used to go with a license. That was
Exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, how things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are getting close to that hour, and we got a couple of minutes, and I'd just like to once again go over on April 21st. You're having a big dinner, and it's going to be at Maria's Galleria, which is right on Essex Street in downtown Haverhill, and people can get tickets at the door, and if they just want a great meal and also some very interesting information, on an event that's hosted by WHAV's Tim Coco, and the guest speaker, one of the guest speakers, will be Representative Andy Vargas. So that alone should bring people out, and they might learn a little bit about Asperger's, right?
Yep.
And and even if they don't know anybody else, if they want to just come as a couple or come alone or come as a family, they can come down and enjoy themselves. And
They can even
and there'll
buy
be no heavy questions or lifting, right?
Yep, they
It's
can
just a
even
good
buy
time, a good
table
time
of
for all.
8, you know.
All right. So I want to thank Eva and Marion for coming in. They are from Asperger Works, and it's aspergerworks.org online, right? And they're located in Lawrence. And look them up and get involved because they're a worthy cause. And I think everybody should try to be there on the 21st, though.
And thank you for sharing the story about your trip from Hungary to here.
Absolutely.
It is, and you went up to Austria. You know, you probably could have come over with the Sound of Music people, because weren't they from Austria
Von
also?
Traps, the
That's
Von
why I thought
Traps.
it was she might have been one of the Von Traps.
Considerable
Right.
amount of time between the two.
They probably would have appreciated your singing back then, too.
You could have been another
You could have
Julie
been part of
Andrews.
the Von Traps.
Oh, that was it. You missed your calling.
Ah, geez. All right. Thanks
Oh, well.
again for coming in.
Thank
this
you for
is
having
we're
us.
going to wrap it up for us tonight on the new open mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Join Bill Macek live on the new open mic again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the open mic show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The open mic show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson newsroom.
It's 8 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Wave weather.
Here is the WAVE weather forecast for Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. For tonight, cloudy skies, low 26, light north winds. On Tuesday, mostly cloudy with snow showers mixing with rain, high 46.